The new NBA and MLB season is in full swing, and BetOnline has you covered with the best odds and biggest promotions and live in-game betting on all your favorite teams. Head to BetOnline today to stay updated on all the action. BetOnline, the game starts here.
Are you looking for a new job or want a career change? Look no further than Monster.com. Need a little help standing out? Our expert resume writing services will make sure you shine. Want to brush up on your interview skills? Engage with our AI interview prep tool. Want some advice on negotiating your new salary? Visit our salary tools and extensive library of career advice articles, and you'll have all the tips and tricks you'll need to succeed. Visit Monster.com today and take the first step towards your career. Monster.com. Find your right job fit.
If you're looking to streamline your audio advertising buys and maximize your revenue, look no further than Triton Digital's programmatic audio advertising exchange, A2X. The private exchange consists of only licensed broadcasters and top-tier internet radio publishers, assuring the quality inventory and brand safety you can trust. Visit www.tritondigital.com to learn more.
Mid-century German homemakers, English postal workers, police officers, skinheads, and even me. Not every brand is fortunate enough to have such a diverse and loyal following. With humble roots starting at the end of World War II, they have navigated the last 7 decades with impeccable craftsmanship, iconic products, and a deep understanding of the need for self-expression. Once seen simply as footwear for the working class, today they are rocked by such modern legends as Miley Cyrus and Billie Eilish and have become a fashion industry mainstay. And that's why this week's On Brand is on Doc Martens.
You're all jazzed up, nearly having a cow. You want your favorite show, and it's on right now. It's on brand.
Welcome to On Brand with Jon and Marisa.
I'm Jon.
I'm Marisa. Doc Martens.
Doc Martens.
Doc Martens. Wow, another shoe.
I know. I was telling Alistair when I told him I'm going to do Doc Martens, which has been on my list since the beginning, I think, that one of the things that surprises me most about On Brand with Jon and Marisa is how many times we do episodes on shoes.
Yeah, this is basically a shoe pod.
We do like a shoe a month. We've done Crocs. We've done Converse. We've done Uggs. We've done
Hokas.
Now Doc Martens, the coolest of all shoes.
Shoes are huge. Shoes are huge.
Shoes, if there's one thing I know, shoes are huge.
I believe I've had a Doc Marten, a little Mary Jane Doc Marten in my day, but I've never had a lace up. It's a little too, let's just say I prefer the grace and poise that comes with a beige Croc.
Funny you say that because I actually have it in my notes. Marisa doesn't seem like she would have been in the Doc Marten scene at all.
Certainly not, no.
Like if you got some, it seems like they would have been handed down from your sister.
Well, the ones that I had were the Mary Janes. Yeah, so that was one that possibly I had and possibly was my sister's. That's the only kind I've ever been attracted to. It's not really my vibe, but I support all vibes here.
We're all types of vibes here. I definitely had Doc Martens. I never had the boots. I always wanted the boots, but I would wear my roommate's boots sometimes. But he was like a size or two smaller than my foot, and I had to cram my foot into that boot. But man, there was something...
Is there anything funnier than like cramming into someone else's shoes? Like what, like a hallmark of childhood?
I was going to say, is there anything sexier than like a cute roommate in a 8-hole boot?
Was he cute?
Yeah, I was in a relationship-ish with one of my roommates.
Whoa, that's risky.
It turned out terrible.
Oh no, what happened?
We ended up he ended up moving out. Then we didn't speak for years.
Because of the boots?
Because I wore his boots. No. Then I had another roommate that was very cute, very Harry Connick Jr.
Ooh,
like young Harry Connick Jr. Like
okay,
good Harry
easy.
Connick.
He's still attractive.
Yeah. Kale, if you're out there, I thought you were handsome.
Give us a call.
So before we get into Doc Martens, I have something that I feel like I shall confess.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Freely, of my own will, I'm
Thank
going
you.
to confess something.
Okay, great.
I shoplifted this week. Which I felt goes very well with an episode on Doc Martens.
You were regressing. Okay, tell me everything.
It's very small.
Okay.
It just made more sense to steal it.
Was it a Kinder Egg? Because that's the only thing I shoplift
No.
constantly.
Falsehoods. You shoplifted a straw for your fake Stanley.
I did. Yes, I did.
No. Okay. So I found myself at the Glendale Galleria this week. That's the mall by our house. And I then found myself in front of the Lego store. And I don't really buy a lot of Legos, but I like to look in the Lego store.
Okay.
So I went in the Lego store and I was looking around, and then I came across the build your own person Lego that you did for us.
Yes.
And I remember when you did it, there was not a lot of hair options.
That's very true. Yes, we were extremely limited on the build your own figurine with hair options.
Yeah, so you got me a hair that kind of looks like Betty White in Golden Girls hair, but blonde, like a blonde lady's hair.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, I'm going to see if they have added any new hairs. And I dug around and I found a hair. No, I found like a Lego hair that I feel like looks more like my hair, except it's dark brown. Okay. But I feel like the style
We could spray paint it.
Right. I was like, we'll just paint it blonde.
Blonde, yeah. Blonde, yeah.
Pale
yellow.
Pale yellow. And so then I was like, you know what? Like, I don't know how these work. It was literally, if you haven't been there, it's just like a big bin of loose parts. Like, I wasn't going to be like, hey, can I buy this hair? I feel like
I don't even know if you could. I feel like those must constantly be slipping into the overall pocket of a toddler or like up a kid's nose or something.
I agree. And I feel like just because they didn't really have the options when you went, we're kind of owed a hair.
Mm-hmm.
So I just took the hair. I took the hair, and now I have to go buy spray paint to make it look like me.
That's really fun. Yeah, that to me is an ethical steal.
Yeah, I felt so too. Like, I didn't even feel like the slightest bit guilty.
I think, well, to make it perfectly fair, you should return the Betty White hair.
I thought about that. I was like, now every time I should just keep that Betty White hair in my fifth pocket every day. Mm-hmm. So one day I will come across a Lego store with it, and then I can just drop it in.
Is that all you got from the Lego store?
It is. I didn't buy anything else.
Good boy, good boy.
I got nothing else.
What else did you buy that day at the mall?
Well, it's kind of personal. I don't want to talk about it on the pod.
What did you buy at the mall,
No,
Jon?
it's kind of personal.
What did you buy?
Well, no, this isn't. I'm not doing one of those things where like, oh, she'll get it out of me. It's kind of personal.
Butthole medicine? I mean, what could it be?
It was just that I had to grab something from Aveda.
Oh, like shampoo?
Well...
Body wash?
Nah.
Hair product?
Yeah.
Okay. Pube product?
No, they don't sell those.
So what?
Aveda's new pube line.
What could be personal
just a
from
scalp
Aveda?
brush. I just needed a scalp brush.
So you have dry scalp, yeah.
I mean, it's kind of a personal thing. I don't really want to put it on the pod, so I appreciate it.
It might tarnish the listener's impression of you if they learn you have a dry scalp.
Everyone thinks I have a shiny, healthy scalp. I found myself with dry scalp.
We might get some free scalp care.
From Burpee.
Yeah.
Speaking of, just real quick, big shout out to Burpee who sent us we posted about it. I'm sure if you didn't see it on Instagram, sent us a letter saying they love the Burpee episode, a big box of swag. Oh my God. I was beside myself with joy.
I haven't fully recovered.
I haven't either. I have it all like laid out at my house, so I just like will take a minute and look at it.
Mm-hmm. I know the feeling. Were you able to throw away the big box that all the swag came in, or is that still?
It's on the porch. It's making its way to the storage unit.
This is a question somewhat off topic, but have you ever been so swept up by a brand's packaging that you are not able to part with it? Like
of course.
The garbage?
Apple.
Oh, you don't throw those out?
No.
The iPod?
The old iPod boxes, the iPhone boxes. I think I have my old computer box.
Oh my God.
In my carport.
What? Those are big.
I know.
What do you do with them?
Keep them.
For what?
For someone to throw away when I die. I don't know. They're hard to throw away. They're just such nice boxes.
They have that like velvety finish that is really sexy.
They have everything. It's just like a well constructed. But now I'm a little over. I'm not quite as like gaga over Apple as I used to be.
So chuck them.
Maybe I'll chuck them.
Pitch them in the bin.
Put them in the bin.
I love that.
So Doc Martens.
Dr. Marten.
So this is a brand that I have a personal connection with. I feel it's been a part of my wardrobe since probably college, back in my vampire days. I
could definitely see you stomping around in a cape and a pair of Doc Martens.
Yeah, I don't remember when I got my first pair. They were really expensive back in the day, so you kind of had to like save up for them. Now, this is something I wanted to ask. If when I was in high school, you know that I was a vampire. That was kind of like my whole scene. In my school, we weren't called goths. We weren't called emos. We were called culture queers. And I think we've talked about this before.
I don't know if we've talked about that on pod or not, but I have never heard the term culture queer.
I never have heard of it anywhere outside of my school.
So this is more just a poll for America and the world.
Yeah, I am so curious if anyone out there ever heard of that term for people that wore black or like were into all the same things like goth people were listening to, or punk rockers like listen to The Cure or listen to Misfits or any of that, wore Doc Martens, had like tore up pants and all the whole vibe, but we were called culture queers or CQs.
That's so weird. Did you also have goths?
No, goth wasn't really a term. Like it wasn't really a term that was used. This is in like.
And what year is this, John?
This isn't, no, I mean, year's not important, but this isn't like...
does the audience know that I don't know how old you are?
Yes, we've talked about that. Such a boring topic. We have so many more interesting things to talk about than my age. But this is in like the suburbs of Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm curious if anyone else has ever heard that term.
We didn't have it at the beach.
Right.
Where I was.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't think it was like a West Coast thing, but I'm curious if it was anywhere else on the East Coast or Midwest.
Interesting. Yeah, I would love to hear from the listeners if they've ever heard that term. It's so like, it almost seems like something from like from a movie, like Breakfast Club, like the culture queers.
I gotta say, I think we all wore it with pride. Like I feel like people said it to us, like they were like, "Haha, you culture queer." Like, but we were like, "Yeah, we're culture queer." And what I would say is, almost everyone that was in that group are all the people that went away. Like we all moved away. We all did bigger things with our lives, and I'm a proud member of the culture queer community.
You still are.
And I still am.
Very cool. You should get that like embroidered on the back of a jean jacket or something.
Yeah, I would like to bring that back.
So let me guess, Dr. Martin. He was a foot doctor, stomping around, always dropping heavy stuff on his toe. He needed a steel toe boot. I really didn't know the detail that you mentioned about the housewives, the 50. This is very interesting. I'd love to hear this tale of how this man came to be.
So let's get into it. Now, before I get into anyone in the Martin family, I'd like to talk about the Griggs family.
Okay.
So in 1901, at least I stayed in the 1900s this time. And these names are amazing. Benjamin Griggs and his partner, Septimus Jones.
Oh my God.
Started producing men's boots in the small town of Wollaston, Northamptonshire, in the English Midlands. And this area was already known as kind of like the English shoemaking capital.
Bootsville.
It's where everyone's going to, Bootville. And they grow this reputation for making footwear that was incredibly durable. As you can imagine, that was very important at the time. People are stomping around everywhere.
I'm imagining like it's like sheep herder, it's like blacksmith.
All
it's
those
like
things.
I love that.
Glove maker.
Like you a glover.
Maker. Yes.
Great.
The two eventually split up, and Griggs is joined by his son Sebastian, and they create R. Griggs and Company Limited. And over the next 40 years, the Griggs family continues to build their reputation for making quality footwear. We're just going to put a pin in the Griggs for now. I just wanted you to have that information. Okay, so now I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Klaus Märten.
Märten. Not Martin.
Not Martin. Looks similar.
Okay.
Maerten.
Okay.
He's born December 8th, 1915. And just for a little bit of perspective to kind of put it on the timeline, this is 3 years and 8 months after the sinking of Titanic. It's 82 years before the film Titanic.
Perfect. Thank you.
Just to kind of place that. So in his youth, he has a hobby of poultry breeding. Poultry breeding.
Another one of these.
No, he's actually a cobbler. In his youth, he was a cobbler.
Okay.
And if you're young and don't know what a cobbler is, it's in the old time days, and I guess even now, it's someone that
How young are our listeners to not know what a cobbler is?
I guarantee someone out there doesn't know what a cobbler is.
If you are 22 and under, do you know what a cobbler is?
Nobody knows what and not a peach cobbler.
No.
It's someone who mends shoes.
They're salivating at the word cobbler.
Oh, cobbler. Finally, a pod I can listen to. So he dabbled in cobbling. In the 1920s, he enlisted in the German army, where he served as a doctor. 1945, the war comes to an end. This guy needs a vacation.
Oh, don't we all, honey?
Don't we all? So he enjoys skiing. He takes a trip to the Bavarian Alps.
Gorgeous.
Do you know where that is?
Yeah, in Bavaria.
The southeastern corner of Germany, and extends into Austria.
Uh-huh.
So, he goes on a ski trip. He's flirting with the ski bunnies.
Wow. Is he hot?
He's an okay looking man. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
He is
Okay.
hot.
Now I'm listening.
Having hot chocolate. He's just having a great time. Decides to hit the slopes.
Have you ever flirted with anybody like in the snow with hot cocoa?
I don't think I've ever flirted with anybody.
That can't be true.
I don't think I've ever flirted with any. Like I don't think I have.
You're not a flirt?
I don't think I am.
Wow. For some reason, snow falling, hot cocoa,
Right.
ski trip feels like a really good place to flirt.
It lends itself to flirting.
With a little ski bunny.
It's very Hallmark movie.
Yeah, super cute.
But I also don't ski, so
That's why you haven't flirted?
that's why I've never flirted.
Hi, this is Chris Howard, host of Plugged In with Chris Howard. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all your sports betting action. BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news, scores, even live in-game betting while the games are being played. With the largest selection of odds on everything from Major League Baseball, NHL, and UFC, and professional golf, BetOnline remains the number one source for all your sports wagering info. In between games, head over to the BetOnline's casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. BetOnline, the game starts here.
So he decides to hit the slope, and I will say that is probably where he made his mistake. He has an accident.
Oh, no.
He breaks his foot or twisted his ankle. Every story kind of says something different. He either broke his foot, hurt his foot, or twisted his ankle, or broke his ankle. Something happened down there that made it very uncomfortable for him to walk.
Below the knee injury.
He goes home to give his foot, I'm going to say it's a broken foot, time to heal. He tries putting on his military boots. And you know what doesn't work when you have a broken foot? Wearing World War II military boots.
Ooh, I've never thought of that, but sure.
They're stiff.
Rigid.
They're not really made for mobility or flexing. It's just a very uncomfortable situation. So he decides, I'm going to make a better boot. I'm going to make a better boot. And then when I read that, in my head, I was like, why don't you put on a cast? Why don't you just wear a cast?
Really good point.
And then I was like, were casts not invented before
No,
1945?
surely. Because you think about wars, you think about like people being bandaged up.
Well, I Googled it.
Okay.
When were casts invented? The first recorded use of an orthopedic cast was in 3000 BC. So they had definitely been around. The Egyptians used them. They used wooden splints made of linen, wrapped around bark to support broken limbs. So,
well, if he has a sore foot, you would think like rigidity would actually be good because like a stiff boot would like kind of mimic a cast. You don't want to be like flopping around like a sore foot in like an Ugg.
I think it depends where the pain is.
Okay.
I think it was like putting pressure when he was walking was very uncomfortable for him.
I'll take his word for it.
Yeah, I'll take his word for it. So maybe it was just a macho thing that he didn't do a cast. For whatever reason, cast is not part of the story. He thought it would be much easier to create a new shoe.
It's a turn off to see a guy in a foot cast.
It's it's a turn on. Someone who fashions himself a shoe.
Absolutely.
Okay, so remember, this is the mid-1940s. So there's no Michaels. There's no Joanne Fabrics. He needs a lot of supplies to make a shoe. Where is he going to get them?
Hobby Lobby.
No Hobby Lobby.
Oh, no.
No Kmart.
Oh, my God.
No Target. No Walmart.
This is horrible.
I could go on and on.
This is horrible.
There's none of them. So what does he decide to do? He scours the post-war ravaged streets of Munich, collecting anything that he thinks could work for a shoe. He finds, I don't know how, scraps of leather.
This is right up your alley because you are a man who loves scraps of leather.
I love scrap. I love finding things. When I worked at Avatar, I worked on a lot, and I had for a long time, I would do a daily walk around the lot to get my steps in. I'd listen to Taylor. I'd bounce around. And
You did dance.
I would always find fun things on the lot. You would find like weird, just on the ground, you'd find a weird screw or like a propeller. Like there was just always something. So every day I started collecting one thing I found on my walk. And my goal was to make what I was going to call my lot bot. I was going to make a little robot made out of all the parts of my findings on the lot.
That's a cute idea.
I thought it was cute too.
Where's all the stuff now?
I never made it, and when I'd left there, I just threw it all away. It was very anticlimactic.
That's a cute idea.
Thank you. So he finds scraps of leather. He finds like cloth. He goes to an airfield and loots rubber. He visits an old cobbler friend and borrows some supplies. And he just gathers all of these things and he heads home. Now, obviously, there's no footage of him being at his house trying to put this shoe together. I thought maybe for the first time I would do a reenactment of what I think happened. Okay. So full disclosure, as I said, there's no recorded history of this actual moment.
Of course.
I'm taking some personal liberties. This is what I think probably happened.
Okay.
The bottom line is the end result is the same. So we get to the truth no matter how this went down.
Perfect.
If you'll indulge me for a second, it's mid-1940s. Klaus Märten is sitting in his home alone. Fade in. Klaus Märten is sitting on his couch. He's just gotten back from collecting trash, basically. Everything he found is sitting on the table in front of him. His home is so quiet, you can hear the clock ticking. He winces. God, my foot is f***ing killing me. He looks at his boots on the floor. F*** you, you hard-ass boots. I'm gonna make something better and lighter than you. But how? He looks down at the rubber he found, then back at the boots, then back at the rubber. He's thinking. We hear a siren in the distance through the window. He looks back at his boots, then to a picture of himself as a child on his bicycle. We hear the faint sound of a child's laughter. He looks back at the rubber. Air. His eyes widen. Air. Of course. That's it. That's the end of my reenactment. This crazy motherfucker is going to make a boot filled with air.
A boot filled with air? It doesn't seem possible.
Babe, that's the journey we're on.
I can't believe it.
A boot filled with air.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
And that's what he does. He makes this prototype of his air-filled shoes and shows them to an old university friend who just happens to be a mechanical engineer.
Oh, I don't know anybody interesting.
I don't either.
He had a cobbler friend, a university friend.
We just know a bunch of washed-up old comedians. They can't do anything for us.
A bunch of losers who don't know shit.
And his friend also has another fun name, Dr. Herbert Funk, F-U-N-C-K. And Dr. Funk is very impressed with this prototype. The two become partners and refine Märten's idea. Again, they're using discarded military supplies because that's what's available to them. They work together to develop a technique that allows them to manufacture the soles and then heat seal them onto the uppers. Do you know what an upper is? It's cobbler top.
The top of the shoe?
Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. So
yeah, I could get that.
They can heat seal that sole to the leather, and this process creates airtight compartments in the sole that cushion the foot and offered unprecedented support.
Wow.
By the 1950s, with Märten's ambition and Funk's engineering, they had produced the perfect worker's boot. Fun fact, rubber had never been used in the fashion industry at this point, so not only is that a major innovation, the fact that they now have these soles that are not just like strips of hard leather and different materials, they're literally rubber with pockets of air in them, and they're giving them this cushion when people walk. This is a game changer.
Wow, rubber is everywhere now. It's all over the shoe biz.
I mean, can you imagine the shoe biz without rubber?
I can't.
We now know who to thank for that.
Huge. Imagine if he had slipped on a Croc.
Oh my God, he would probably die if he saw a Croc. He's like, what did I do? Why didn't I make this? Because he didn't have that foam. To be fair.
Only one guy found that foam.
Only one guy found that foam, and I don't even remember where he found it, and I researched Crocs. I do want to take just a tiny second to say I do think it's very kind of beautiful that these guys are taking these war-torn materials that really represent a lot of human suffering and a lot of pain and a lot of bad things. They're reimagining them into an item that is supposed to offer comfort and support. I kind of find that beautiful.
Yeah. I too find that beautiful.
Thank you. So they go into production, and within like 10 years, they've got this booming boot business. Who do you think their number one clients are? Is it a postal worker? Is it the police people? Is
police people?
Is it the police people? Is it
the police?
Oh, is it the police? Is it the male people? 80% of their sales for the first 10 years were made by German housewives.
Wow.
Homemakers over the age of 40 loved these shoes because they were on their feet all day. They had to do a bunch of stuff outside. They offered, again, just all-day comfort. Not the intended customer.
For sure.
But that, too, was all into these shoes at the time.
I guess they were kind of maybe working like a lot of like farming still. You know what I mean? It's not like
For sure.
the American housewife who
just lays around
eating bonbons or vacuuming in like high heels. This was maybe a housewife who was like milking a sheep.
Yes, they're out milking a sheep. They don't have Roombas.
No, they're in the slop.
I agree. They're out there milking sheep and cutting down trees probably.
Yeah, probably.
So yeah, they needed their feet to be a little more comfortable.
I love that.
After that first 10 years, with the strength of their sales and their growing popularity, they decide that it's time to go international. They put advertisements in English magazines and like shoe trade catalogs.
God, I would kill to subscribe to a shoe trade catalog.
Would you? It seems so boring.
God, I love any and every catalog. I can't get enough.
I feel like it would be a lot of just words. Like not even everything would have a picture. And if it
That's
did have
true.
a picture, it would be like a drawing of a shoe.
With just like an item number or something. Yeah, I would need big pictures, but yeah, I would love that.
Great. Now I know what to get you for your birthday, September 2nd. Who happens to see the advertisements and is intrigued by the shoe? None other than Bill Griggs, grandson of Benjamin Griggs, of the Griggs family that we talked about earlier. So the Griggs company has now been around. They're on their third generation. Bill is running it along with his brothers Ray and Colin and his son Max. And they're all about like quality, and the two brands have like kind of a good philosophy, a similar like philosophy on what
a shoe should be.
I
love that.
So in 1959, the Griggs family attains exclusive rights to sell Dr. Martens boots in England. They decide to make just a few little changes to them.
He's kind of like the Lori of the Sharks, you know.
Yeah.
He's like passionate. He's like, we need to get this idea out to the people.
Yeah, I can have this out into the people within 30 days. He's like, I'm going to take 30%. That's going to seem like a lot now. But I'll have you'll be a millionaire by the end of the year.
I love that. I imagine he had a big high side pony like Lori too.
I think Lori's the only shark that hasn't grown to annoy me. I think all the other sharks have it.
Really?
Yeah.
Even Barbara?
Barbara's the worst. Barbara's the worst.
Wow, why?
Didn't I tell you? I've seen this interview of her where she said
her favorite thing to do is fire people.
On a Friday.
Yeah, I don't like that.
She said, one of my favorite things to do is to fire someone on Friday.
I don't believe that. I'm gonna hit up Snopes. I don't think that's true.
It was from her own mouth. It's her saying it.
No.
Unless it's a deep fake or AI.
It's a deep fake.
She was giddy.
AI.
She's like, if they don't fit in, I can't wait to fire them, and I'm gonna wait till Friday to do it. I'll stop by their desk on Wednesday and be like, hey, can I see you on Friday? And then she just cuts them.
I'm gonna be on Snopes later.
Yeah, you check on Snopes. All right, so a few of the changes they made. They changed the name of the brand from Dr. Martens to Dr. Martens because they felt like it sounded too German, and because of the post-war British public, selling a German product wasn't in most companies' best interest.
This is early branding. I mean, they had a meeting where if they had like a PowerPoint, they would have had it pulled up with a slide.
Yeah.
About like 89% of people don't feel comfortable buying a German brand.
Yeah.
And then the logo morphs to Martin. That's great.
I love that. They trademarked the name of the sole and called them Airwear. AIRWAIR.
That's pretty good.
They added what is still it's on my shoes right now, the iconic black and yellow heel loop that features the brand name and the slogan with bouncing soles.
It's a good loop.
And I don't know if you remember, but it has kind of a weird like font that they use on it. That font is based on Bill Grigg's own handwriting.
Cool.
And then what I think is probably the biggest change that they made, and what I identify Doc Martens with the most, is they introduced the signature yellow welt stitching. Which
I was going to say, it must be this yellow stitching because that is so iconic.
Can you imagine a Doc Marten without the
Pop your foot up here. I want to see.
Well, okay, so I'm wearing what is I think is like old man Docs now.
Okay.
They made these like canvas slip-ons.
Oh, yes.
But even that, they kept like this yellow line on mine is not needed for anything. But they kept it there just because it's so iconic to the brand, and it's got the Airwear loop tag and with bouncing soles. This has been on here since 1960.
Wow, that's huge. Yeah, I've seen you wear the. I think I thought it was like a Vans slip-on because that is what it looks like.
I mean, most canvas slip-ons look very same.
I mean, who has the time to lace up all those little eyelets and little loopies?
Let's talk about lace and shoes for just a second. I don't know what has happened as I've grown older. When I wear a lace shoe, they come untied 5 times a day.
What do you mean?
I'll double knot them. I'll pull them as hard as I can. I'll be walking through Vons and I'm like, my goddamn shoe's untied. I don't know what is happening. That's
How would that be possible with a double knot?
Double knot.
Oh, Al
has
is
a
raising his
theory.
finger. He has a theory.
Did you ever learn to tie your shoes?
I don't know how to tie them. Or a tie.
That is wild.
Okay, so it's 1960. The Griggs introduced Dr. Martin's now legendary 8-hole oxblood boot to the public with the model number 1460. Still the most famous model number that they sell.
Cool.
Where did they get that model number? It's simply the date the shoe came out, April 1st, 1960.
That's great.
Originally, the boots cost about $2 a pair, so they're cheap enough for anyone with a low-income bracket to get their hands on them, and that's why the working class people really embraced them. You had factory workers wearing them and police officers and mail carriers. They were some of the first ones to adopt the boot, but they weren't the only ones to adopt them early on. As you probably know, in the 1960s, there was a lot of civil and cultural upheaval.
I remember, yeah.
You remember. The times were turbulent and change was going on throughout the world. In Britain, the first wave of a new subculture emerged that became known as the skinheads. Okay. But this first round of skinheads, I did not know this. There was 2 rounds of skinheads.
I didn't know that either.
The second round is a little more, So this first one, they're not really mostly associated with violence. They originated from the working class youth of London in the 60s, and they were all about giving a voice to the underdogs of society.
Okay.
They were very proud of their appearance, which kind of became defined by their close cropped and shaved heads.
Hang on. Al Pal? You keep a pretty
short
closely shaved haircut. What is it, every 2 weeks you shave your head? Okay, I got my eye on you.
Button down, often checkered, slim fitting shirts.
Red fleece jacket.
Straight leg jeans.
Clean shoes.
And work boots.
Interesting.
Which Doc Martens became the boot of choice for. So you have these 2 kind of similar, very different groups all embracing this boot. But then someone else comes along, finds a pair in the UK, and is credited with changing the direction of the brand forever. Who is that?
Madonna.
I wish. It's 1967, so it's a little early for her. Pete Townsend.
Oh, okay.
Of The Who.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with The Who?
I mean, I know it.
Right. I know them too. Like I had to look up like Who's greatest songs, and even those I was like, I don't even know.
What's the greatest one? Sing a few bars.
I don't even know them by name.
Al, sing a few bars. What's the biggest Who song?
Pinball Wizard?
Pinball Wizard.
Baba O'Reilly?
Baba O'Reilly.
My Generation?
My Generation.
Those are great.
The Cobbler kids are really like, what the is happening in this episode?
Why did Mom tell me to listen to this?
Can we get back to Stanley Cups and Hokas? Jesus.
All right, so in 1967, Pete Townsend was tired of the clothing of the time. He decided he wanted a more utility wear look. He goes shopping in northern England to get an outfit for the concert that he's having that night. He finds a dark blue boiler suit. Do you know what that is? I had to look it up.
It's like coveralls, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
I feel like Dickies. It's like kind of like that same thing, like workwear.
Totally. Then he becomes hypnotized by a pair of Doc Marten boots. And, you know, remember, this is still like up until now, they're still mostly known as like a everyday workman's boot.
This will be a really cute scene in the movie where he like slips into a little shop. Fans outside are like, Pete.
I got a ticket for the show. I mean, Matt Damon.
Yeah.
Townsend.
Can he do? I feel like he can't do an accent.
I feel like maybe Matt Damon would be the skinhead.
Yeah, that might read a little better.
That I like. So Pete buys these boots. He wears them that night and would later describe his performance for that show as a revelation.
Wow.
The Doc Marten website has this to say. When Pete Townsend wore a battered old pair of Doc Marten 1460 boots on stage in 1967, he catapulted our modest workwear brand into the world of rock and roll.
Wow.
And music has been our heartbeat ever since.
Wow.
The Who's Righteous live shows smashed their way to the top of British mod scene and throughout America. We were there every step of the way. As the band,
my God, get a room.
As the band's fame and notoriety exploded, our 1460 boot became as iconic as Townsend's infamous scissor kicks and jumps, becoming a symbol of rebellious self-expression. The guitarist and songwriter even credited his footwear for his energetic stage moves, claiming, "With my new air soles, I literally started to fly."
Wow. This is a much better brand rep than we walk hand in hand with the skinheads. Giving them the energy they need to stomp around town.
Yeah, I guess it probably makes more sense to
That's fun.
Put all your Pete Townsend in a basket.
Yeah,
from your
really
skinheads.
like solidify like, yes, this is who you want as the face of your company.
Yeah. And the boots had like another advantage for Pete. I guess he did. I don't know much about him. I need to look him up to see what all these scissor kicks and dance moves are about. I picture the Who as just a bunch of old men. I forget that there was a time when
where they were young.
When they were young men.
You know, maybe with a pair of boots, maybe you could scissor kick.
That's a great idea. I don't know if the people listening know I can't jump very high. I don't know if adding these bouncy soled boots would help me do that.
It might help. That's a
But
good
he would
campaign.
do so much dancing and stuff on stage. He said that it was really damaging his feet, and the boots helped with that.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah. So it was a defining moment for the brand. Other notables would embrace the brand: Sid Vicious of the Sex Pistols, Joe Strummer of the Clash, and Billy Bragg. And then we move into the 70s. And over the next decade, the brand would kind of continue to just be adored until, as I hinted at,
The bad skinheads.
the bad skinheads. They showed up.
Uh-oh.
So in the late 70s, a second wave of skinhead subculture was revived after punk rock was introduced.
Okay.
They're brought together through social alienation and working class solidarity. The skinheads liked that Doc Martens offered a utilitarian anti-fashion statement that
This
became...
does sound like Al.
It is
Anti-fashion, utilitarian.
Yeah, he just wants to like have his uniform that will bring no attention to it.
Interesting.
Al's a skinhead?
I imagine these boys are kind of stinky. Like all these like rock and roll boys are kind of stinky. I'm imagining the skinheads are kind of like, they're like anti whatever, wanting to be like clean and proper. I imagine they're kind of stinky too. Al is a very clean boy.
I don't know. I kind of think that they all smell like a bar of soap. Like
You think skinheads smell good?
Yeah, I think skinheads smell good. Listen, I had skinhead friends in high school.
You did?
Well, there was a couple of skinheads in school. They were the nice skinheads.
Okay.
But people thought that they were the scary skinheads.
Well, they should grow their hair out.
Why?
Because if you are shaving your head and calling yourself a skinhead, people might get the wrong idea.
Well, that's on them. I would say some of the skinheads I knew were sweet as could be.
Great.
They were surprisingly sweet.
They were the first wave skinheads.
Yeah, they
okay.
modeled after the first wave.
I see.
But some of these second wave skinheads.
John Glover, skinheads, not all bad.
Some are okay. So some of these second wave skinheads saw the steel-toed boots as weapons.
Oh, ooh.
And to make them more intimidating, they would cut the leather off of the tip of the boot so that people could see the steel.
Ooh.
So, you know, that probably wasn't the best thing for them.
Al, do you cut the leather off your steel-toed boots or to show people the metal or?
Yeah, I like people to be intimidated by my shoes.
Does it work?
No.
I will say, what I do find interesting is police officers are still wearing these boots at the same time too.
Yeah.
So, and police officers are the ones that are like breaking up the fights with the skinheads. So I do think it's kind of interesting that you have both of these groups of people wearing the same shoes, but was coming, you know.
It's not very anti-establishment to be wearing the shoes that the coppers are wearing.
Yeah. All right, so because you do have these bad ones, the media and public came to view the skinheads as a group that promotes racism, neo-Nazism.
Yeah, not ideal.
And violence. But, I mean, there were some that were nice.
They just liked the shoes and they liked the haircut.
Yeah.
Great.
So it's not really something that any brand would want to be associated with.
Who can blame them?
Yes. But luckily for Doc Martens, so many different groups, like in music, were into the shoe that this stigma kind of fades away.
Yes, it wasn't just like the official shoe of skinheads. It was the official shoe of a lot of people.
Right, and it's not like it wasn't there. It wasn't like something bad that the brand did.
Of course.
You know, it's just unfortunate that, you know, that there was a group of people, less desirable people that were wearing the shoe for a while. Anyway, all right, so then we get into the 80s. By the mid-80s, Doc Martens had become recognized as a symbol of British youth culture. The young people were rebelling against the Conservative Party. In America, the 80s also saw the rise of alternative music and punk bands that were touring the UK. They would buy Doc Martens, bring them back to the States, wear them in their shows, and then American kids were kind of getting exposed to them and like wanting to have them too, as we all want to have what our idols are wearing.
Have you ever been to a punk show?
No.
It seems really yucky.
Ew, why are you being so...
Because I think they like spit on people. I think they like bang around and they...
You sound like such a Karen right now.
I think they spit on each other.
They don't spit on... There's nice punk rockers.
Al, have you ever been to a punk show? Don't they spit on people?
I went through a big punk phase.
Oh my God. I think that they're probably...
I'm sure they're nice. It's not,
nice.
But it just seems like, I don't know, it seems sticky and sweaty and spitty.
You have a thing with like heat and...
You're the one who's always sweating.
I am. I'm hot right now. So they're coming back to America and all the kids are seeing them. So now you have all these like punk kids and goth kids wearing Doc Martens. And this is kind of one of the first groups. Other than the skinheads like taking the leather off of the toe, you had people that started to like modify Docs in a way that to express themselves. They put anarchy signs on them or safety pins or paint them or, you know, decorate them. Yeah. Have fun with them.
Classic rebellious self-expression.
Yeah, exactly.
Great.
Something very interesting is during this time, Doc Marten brand saw a rise in sales of smaller men's-sized boots.
Okay.
Were men's feet getting smaller? No. More women were buying the boots.
I see. So they didn't yet have a women's version of the boot?
No.
Interesting.
Well, I think they're unisex. Even now, you can buy
Of course.
you buy any boot and it's like in a men's it's size 10, in a woman it's size 8.
But I'm imagining those housewives just sticking a little newspaper in the toe or something.
I love picturing just housewives like cleaning their house in their combat boots.
With safety pins and anarchy symbols painted on them.
Yeah, a kid on each hip.
Oh, yeah.
Chopping some wood. So they realized that women were now the top buyers of the 1460 boot. And that led to Doc Martens creating crazier colors, patterns, and designs for everybody.
I remember the flower ones.
There are so many different kinds now. It's like anything else. Like if you look at the website, you would be gobsmacked. There's like collabs or like
are they like doing like Crocs like Pringles collab?
Well, there's
Doc
like
Martens.
I don't think they've gotten as weird as I think Crocs really owns the like
going insane
fast food and weird collabs, but they do have like Hello Kitty and other like big branded things that they collab with. As we move into the 90s, the next scene to make the boot their own comes out of Seattle, and it's the grunge kids, of course. What a time.
What a time.
If you're too young to remember what grunge is, you've got your Nirvana. You've got your Pearl Jam. You have people wearing flannel shirts.
I'm sure they've seen a Nirvana shirt in the kids section at Target.
That's what's so funny about a lot of this stuff
all over now.
Target sells the Cure shirts now. Like everything has become so beyond what it was so cool 30 years ago. And now it's just at Target.
Because now all those folks have, kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So through the 90s, the brand is still doing great. In 2000, they had their best year ever. And then...
Wow, best year ever was in 2000?
In 2000. Up until that point, don't get excited. Because within the next 3 years, they almost went bankrupt.
Oh, my God.
The 2000s, we saw a rise of...
The internet.
No. Well, we did, but that's not...
Birkenstocks. Uggs.
No.
What could it be?
Boy bands.
Oh, these are my boys.
Right. Now
they're clean. They're civilized. There's no anarchy.
Bye. Yeah, we've got your Britney Spears. You have R&B. You have hip hop. You have all these kind of genres of music that, not that they don't, I'm sure there's people that do wear docs, but they didn't quite embrace it the way a lot of these other music genres had up until this time.
No, they were wearing like big baggy shiny cargo pants and like clean white sneakers and a little we called them wife beaters at the time.
Oh,
you probably don't call them that anymore.
I don't know that that's aged well.
Wife beater? Did you call them wife
beater.
beaters, Al? Yeah, wife beaters. What do they call them now? I don't even know another name for them.
Tank. Aren't they tank tops?
I guess a tank top. It's just
wife
beater is just so specific. It's so evocative. It's like,
babe,
it really paints a picture of the type of guy.
Yeah, it definitely paints a picture of the type of guy.
Nick Carter in a wife beater.
Babe, no one says that.
Hey, you're the one who's palling up to skinheads.
Hey, a couple of them are very nice. So you have all these
hook up with a skinhead or something? You're worried he's going to listen to the pod and think he meant nothing to you?
I would hook up with him. Listen, at this point, I'm flirting with this skinhead later tonight.
Flirting for the first time?
Flirting for the first time. There's my Hallmark movie. Yeah. Flirting for the first time. It's me flirting with a skinhead skiing.
Yeah, skiing. You have a cup of cocoa. The skinhead has a cup of cocoa.
Oh my God, that's
you fall down on your skis like, whoa.
He catches me, kicks me down the hill. I just laugh the whole way rolling down the hill.
Your head bleeding from the steel toe.
This is flirting? All right. So Doc Marten sees their profits rapidly shrinking.
Darn.
In 2003, Griggs decides to pull the plug and move all of its factories to China.
Oh, no. I'm sure people didn't like that.
The move did help save the company, but thousands of people lost their jobs, and people have debated ever since whether the quality of the boot is the same.
It's always the case. I swear, whenever it moves to China, people say it's not. Yeah, the quality isn't the same. Same with Dyson.
Same with like nostalgic foods. People are like, it's smaller, or it used to taste better. I never know if that's true or not.
I don't know. Yeah. Whenever I eat at like an Olive Garden or a place like that, I swear the food used to be better.
It probably was.
If you worked at an Olive Garden in the 90s, will you write to us and tell us if the food just came out of a big bag?
And write to us snail mail. We'll reach out to us with a message and we'll give you our address.
Put stamp to envelope. Okay. I'm so curious because in my mind, the food in the 80s and 90s, it was like if you went to a chain restaurant, everything felt like it was homemade, that they were at the very least at Olive Garden. I say Olive Garden because that was one of my favorite restaurants. Outback Steakhouse, favorite restaurant. This is like where I would like celebrate birthdays.
Same.
And in my mind, the food was like, they were at least boiling a pot of water and making Alfredo sauce. It wasn't just cutting the corner off of a plastic bag and dumping it into like a pot and putting it in the microwave.
I bet it was, it may be better back then, but I bet it was still cutting it from a bag.
You think they cut the corn off a big bag?
I do.
Okay. Well, again, if you work there, please pen to paper, stamp to envelope, and please set the record straight.
Please do.
There's no other way we can find this out.
No. We can't Google this. We will wait 2 weeks to hear from you. Please write. In 2004, only a year later, they did reopen the original factory that they had in Northamptonshire.
That's nice.
To make vintage-style boots again, but the number that they make from this factory is so minuscule compared to what is made in China. But they do still do that, and they do still sell them on the website, and they come with a Made in England stamp, and they're like 100 pounds more.
They cost more. Okay,
yeah.
I'm like, well, why wouldn't you just buy those ones?
Yeah.
They seem better.
If you're going to get a pair, that's probably the pair to go. For a few years, they were selling boots that were guaranteed. They had a lifetime warranty. Like no matter how long you lived, you could replace them or get new boots. That was discontinued in 2018. Though they did have a thing like, if you did buy them during that, we will still honor that forever, but we're no longer going to
because of people like you that would come with their boots.
No.
Sure.
Probably. So for the last 64 years, I guess you could say the brand has been as resilient and as strong as the boot that it makes.
Wow.
Right?
Right, yeah.
Thank you. That was good.
Can weather any storm, much like that rubber sole.
Can stomp out any negativity that comes its way, like the second wave of skinheads. We're only a couple of them. We're nice. Yes.
If you knew a nice skinhead, write to us also.
You know what I used to do? Talk about embarrassing. It's
not an episode without your humiliated giggle.
I know. I may as well give it all out. I used to look at prison pen pal websites to try to find someone to date who would be getting out of prison like a year from then, which would give me time to lose weight, and who also hadn't done a crime that I thought was too dangerous.
Okay.
Like so if I were to go on now, it'd be like, Robert, shoplifter, getting out December 2024.
So was this because you wanted to date a convict or because you wanted to have like a good incentive to lose a few pounds?
I think I just wanted a bad boy. I wanted a bad boy.
You could still do that. Yeah, you could still do that. Get yourself a bad boy.
All right, I'll go on a prison website tonight.
Well, you can just find them.
I don't know where you find a bad boy, but yeah, I'm sure that
We might have a listener who's a bad boy.
The 1460 remains their bestseller. Oh, and you'll appreciate this, even though you're nowhere near a vegetarian anymore.
Okay, wow.
They are getting more involved.
I've had like one burger this week.
This week. You had like 9 chicken tender sandwiches in Florida.
I have been to Chick-fil-A since I've been back.
Babe, that's not even one that we go to.
You go to Hobby Lobby.
I went once and I didn't buy anything.
Okay, you tried to. They were actually really nice at Chick-fil-A because I was pulling up and my son was sleeping in the car, so I couldn't get out to pick up my order. And I called the restaurant and I said, I'm right outside. I'm like at the sidewalk. And this very nice young man came and brought me my food.
You are on another level today. Punk rockers spit on me. Skinheads are stinky. I make fast food people bring me my food even though they don't have curbside.
No, it was very sweet. They were happy to help out. I think that's kind of part of their brand identity now. And I think this is part of their company ethos. Lending a helping hand to a mother.
Listen, you can talk about Chick-fil-A on your own show. Doc Martens has gotten more involved with animal rights and sustainability. They've introduced a vegan line of footwear, which has helped reduce their leather footprint.
Footprint. Cute.
From March 2021 to March 22, they sold 14.1 million pairs of Docs, making that the new most successful year that they've ever had on record.
That's great.
And then,
What a
you know,
comeback.
today they're just more accessible to the masses than ever before. You can find Doc Marten. We have Doc Marten stores here in our malls. They have like a whole range of shoes.
Dedicated Doc Marten stores?
Yeah, there's one in Silver Lake.
Wow.
There's one on Ventura Boulevard.
Oh my gosh.
I think there's one in Glendale Galleria.
It's not on my radar, but I love it. I'm glad that the housewives, the punk kids, the culture queers, the skinheads even have a place to go to get their footwear, quality product at a good price.
You're like one take. If that was a commercial, one take. That was good to go. I do feel like the mall stores make it feel like it's more of like a grandparent store.
Oh, interesting.
I don't see like a big, like true skinhead in Glendale Galleria
Munching on a hot dog on a stick.
with a
Wetzel's pretzel.
stolen Lego head in their pocket, getting a pair of Docs.
Putting their foot on that like little slidey thing that tells you your foot size. Do they still have those? Little slidey
They
foot
must.
sizer?
I always love that slidey thing that
Me
tell me what
too.
my foot size
Oh,
is.
Al, you're nodding. You like that foot slidey thing? What do you like about it?
I feel like that's off brand for Al because there's been a lot of feet in that thing before you. Did you bring like a alcohol swab
Or a little booty?
and a spray? And that's what I have for the brand Doc Martens. That is the
Fantastic.
history of it.
Do you have any fun facts for us?
You know, I do have a couple fun facts for you.
How fun are they? How many Doc Martens to go to the moon and back?
God, are those the worst?
End to end, heel to toe.
If you stack Doc Martens heel to toe, circle the earth, who cares how many times? An original pair of Doc Martens, as I told you, was £2.
Okay.
Not weight, money.
Money.
If you're young and don't know that there's different currencies in the UK.
Is there still pounds?
Yeah, British pounds.
Oh, I didn't know if it was the euro. I haven't been around much.
Oh, leave that in now.
Take that out. Don't make me seem like a fool.
So the original pair was £2. Today, that would be £86. Yet, a new pair of boots today costs £220.
Interesting, because you did say that this was an accessible shoe for the working man, which made me think must have been pretty cheap
Back then.
back then.
Now,
Okay.
you got to save up for it a little bit.
Wow, birthday present.
Yeah. All right. So this fact, I just cut and pasted. It might be a little long, but I do think it's interesting. It has to do with price again.
Okay.
The 8-hole yellow stitch boot cost £2 or $2.71 when they made their debut for the British factory worker in 1960. These days, the company's top shelf original silhouette boot retails for £239, a whopping 120 times the cost of the company's flagship model at the beginning. The boot's soaring price tag outpaces everything from a barrel of oil to an ounce of gold. So it's like
Wow.
more than any of the commodities that we use to for money.
That's wild.
It has raised more than that.
Well, I was at the bank actually putting some jewelry in my safe deposit box, and I noticed every other safe deposit box absolutely stuffed with Doc Martens. And I wonder if that's why. Do you think that could be why?
Do you really have a safe deposit box?
No.
Oh, good. I was like, who are you right now? Here's a fun fact that might not be true.
Okay.
Pope-
Wait, why?
And you'll see. Pope John Paul II once ordered custom pairs of Doc Martens, not just for himself. He ordered 100 pairs of Doc Martens in the 90s for staff all over the Vatican in various colors and styles.
Okay.
Then it went on to say, strangely enough, while this definitely did happen, no photos of anyone in the Vatican wearing the iconic shoes have ever surfaced.
Why wouldn't he wear it? What does he wear under the robes?
It said he splurged on himself with a nice pair of white brogues.
That's interesting. You never think about the Pope's feet. You never think about them. They're under there.
The Pope, doesn't he wash people's feet?
Yeah, but who washes the Pope's feet?
All right, last fun fact. Would you be shocked to hear that there was a 54-inch tall pair of Docs
I would fall off my chair.
worn by Sir Elton John?
Oh, of course.
He played the pinball wizard in Ken Russell's 1975 musical Tommy and wore these insane, I'm sure you've probably seen pictures of them, these 54-inch Docs that he walks on. They were specially designed for the character and are now in the Northampton Museum.
That's fun.
All right, we're done. There's Doc Martens.
Well, I love learning about this iconic historic brand. And, it's a name that whether or not you wear Doc Martens, you know Doc Martens. And that's what makes the show interesting. It's a part of our culture.
Yeah, and I was reading about some of their ad campaigns, and they did one where they know their customer so well. Like when they do advertisements or anything, it's usually focused on the people that would wear the shoe.
Interesting.
And they had a whole campaign where people could send in videos of themselves talking about their first pair of Doc Martens, because they know that is such an important moment for so many people that really embrace the brand. And I thought that was a cool campaign idea.
That is cool.
Yeah.
They know their customer.
Yeah, because I'm sure for a lot of people, it's like they saved up for them, or they like begged their parents for a pair and got them for Christmas, or I'm sure there's
David, my husband, has a story about that where he begged for a pair of Doc Martens for Christmas. He wanted the boots, and his dad got him like the little Oxford, which at the time, if you want the boot and you're going for that kind of look, that punk kind of alternative look, and then you just look like a waiter.
Knowing your husband, I think his dad made the right choice.
So let me tell you something, son. You're like me, and we ain't boot boys.
You think you're a boot boy? You're a shoe sham. That's cute.
Well, thank you again for taking us on the Doc Marten journey. Before we go, I want to give a shout out to a brand freak, a Brandy, who left us a lovely 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Username, I know a ton. And they wrote, a charming, cool breeze. I shared it with my boyfriend, and he listens every week too. He's an emergency room nurse, and he says the podcast relaxes him. Isn't that nice to think that we're playing in somebody's little earbuds while they're cutting open a sternum?
I don't think you know what nurses do. And I think it's sweet that it relaxes him, and I'm sitting here like drenched in sweat.
Never been more stressed out. Well, thank you for those lovely words. And if you haven't given the podcast a review on Apple Podcasts, we would love your 5-star rating and share some nice words. It means the world to us. And another shout out to Mikey, a listener who sent our Burpee episode to his friend who works at Burpee and shared the episode with that team. They sent us that lovely care package we mentioned earlier. Thank you, Mikey.
And I want to give a few shout outs very quickly to all the people that got the Insta Egg correct this week. I think we had more people get it right this week than ever before. For Segway, we had Kara McGrady, Samantha Cook, Deborah, Jordan Shoemaker, Natty, Danny, Jean Crombie, Dylan Hoyt, and Brittany Stewart Fogg. Everyone really got into it this week. It made me so happy that they guessed it. Then we had a couple people, I won't shame them, except for Stephanie, who thought it was Sega.
Which is a good brand.
It is a good brand. And she got the clues right. There was a capital letter one. She just didn't realize there was two more.
She might have been like looking at it while she was driving.
Yeah, she was probably. I think she usually does the Insta Eggs when she's driving
on the freeway.
And then someone else thought it was Instapot, which I don't know how they got there, but I'm still glad they tried.
Instapot is a great brand too. These are great suggestions.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they're suggesting. I think they just don't know how to play the game, and that's okay. Just so you know, when I do the Insta Egg, there's there's many levels of clues. Usually, there's a song attached that's somehow related to it. There's just a lot of different pieces to them.
Some people play Wordle. Some people play the on-brand Insta Egg. That's it for our show. If you'd like to see more of us, you can check us out on Instagram at OnBrandThePod or on TikTok at OnBrandThePodcast. You can see clips from the show. You can chat with us there. We love to hear from you guys. Again, if you worked at Olive Garden, did the food come out of a bag? That's what I'm desperate to know. And we will be back next week with an all-new episode.
And remember, we may go off topic, and when we do, we may learn that Marissa thinks people spit on her or that they stink. But however far off we get, just know that we will always be on brand.
Bye.
Bye.
On brand.